Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast Surviving the Apocalypse. I'm Chris, the High Guy Jacobs.
And is that Panda Guy? And today, it's your topic of choice. We can start off with.
We got
We have
lots
a
to
few
chit-chat. It's going to be a
other.
lot to kind of get around to. We're going to talk about the AR structure because we both had interesting ARs. We're going to talk about the new heroes that just dropped, Eileen and Boyd. And we just got some great news. Our boy Panda is going to South Korea. Motherfucker was invited.
Sir.
Congratulations from everybody here. Well done. Well, we'll talk about what you plan to do at Worlds and how that experience is going to take part. So let's first talk about the new heroes coming in, just because it's something that obviously people have been asking about. They want to know, what the opinions of Eileen and Boyd are. And obviously, what kind of things to focus on. What's your opinion on Eileen first? Let's chit-chat about her a little bit.
She's like, she's just a glass cannon, right? Which is, I think, kind of a necessity with infantry, right? The thing is, I don't know if I'm sure you watched my video, but I was talking with MSR about it. And I think one of the issues that infantry's had is you had, like, back in the day, it was such a meta thing to go full infantry main, right? Whereas now it's like, if you're an infantry main, you're kind of crazy because the hero options, right? Whereas, like, riders and range just have complete glass cannons. You have infantry who are literally mainly just tank based, right? You got Marco, you got Stella, who's not really a field hero. You got Bodala, and you can argue they're good ups and downs. But the thing is about infantry was it was already not focused in the field, and I'd already say it's still the case, right? Like range riders and stuff are still going to get focused first. So even if you had introduced glass cannon type infantry heroes or something, it still probably would have been the same result. And the fact that you have all these tank type heroes, it kind of started turning people off. And if you just have a damage build that's like full range, full whatever, you're obviously going to just kind of outperform the other plebeians on the field. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's just kind of like, I think in here, like, this is kind of necessary.
Yeah, and I think we spoke about this a little bit. I was, when looking at these heroes myself, I think that both Eileen and Boyd bring to the infantry kind of what they were missing, which is a decent amount of damage. Right now, they're bringing both effectively have highest skill damage in the game right now. Which, granted, don't get me wrong, that's not going to translate to the highest damage just because we don't have the highest damage multipliers as infantry, right? Our skill damage is already lacking in that comparison. But it does bring it up to being more relevant, I guess you could say, right? So it's one of those situations where I look at it. Yeah, exactly. So having that extra damage is great. Granted, they don't bring a lot when it comes to defense or anything like, or Eileen doesn't anyways. For Garrison, Boyd does pretty well, I think. But we'll talk about him in a second. What Eileen brings, obviously, is a lot more damage, which, again, infantry has been needing. And having that focus outside of rallies and garrisons, which is where infantries have been basically relegated, in my opinion, right? Like, that's effectively, like you mentioned, that's effectively what our game has been because we don't have field fighting heroes. Yes, you can say Bodala Miyamoto, and yes, you can say, Marco Claude, but those aren't damage dealing lines. Those are tanky, debuffing, and buffing lines, right? So it's a totally different perspective.
All you got to do is like compare it to the counterparts, right? Like you just say, well, is this hero comparable to, you say, oh, is Sophie comparable to Stella? Well, not really, right? Because Sophie, Ethan, they literally have every single role. They can play Garrison, they can play Rally, they can play Field. Can Stella do that? She can play Garrison and Rally, but she can't Field. She does nothing except for, she's like at best use her as a placeholder to throw a buff with, and it's like at that point, what is the point of utilizing a hero like that if almost like half of the infantry heroes are buff utilizers, right? Like you wouldn't use Marco for damage. Nope. You wouldn't use Stella for damage. You wouldn't use Bodala to pump out a ton of damage. You can argue their cases, right, because of his just AoE shield factor, but otherwise, like, there's just, I don't know, like half of the hero options you got right now are just half of the meta hero options at least are just bad. And then the other ones, you still got like Tom in them, and at least you could argue with like Maya and stuff, they at least did damage, right? Tom just is like, okay, I'm a healer, I'm gonna have fun healing all your troops and throwing them back in the hospital.
Well, that was
good luck, guys.
That was always the thing, is that infantry was just like, it was just outdated, because if you look at the garrison options, for example, you've got Raigoro and Riven, and previous to that was Thunder, and Thunder is what, 2 years old now? Do you know what I mean? Like, and the only reason, and again, the only reason why Raigoro is relevant is because of Riven, who's one of the newer additions to the Garrison lineup. And so it really did focus us into specifically Garrison troops, right? And don't get me wrong, Raigoro Riven is a great defensive line. It's a great Garrison line to have. But that's effectively all that infantry has. You can say we've got Stella as a rally captain, which is fine now as a tank captain, because she does really well in that original lineup. But she's not the first one you're going to. I'm probably going to go, Rubina over Stella. I'm probably going to go Sophie Ethan over Stella. I'm probably going to go Sophie. Who else could I? I mean, you can go with a plethora of different choices in your range side. Go Sophie Lynn, for example, in the field. So there's lots of different ways, to give you that kind of freedom in the other types. So these two heroes, like I said, I think are really what infantry have been missing. More damage, more flexibility, and a little bit more of that field presence.
And I mean, I'd also argue on the point of like, even if you can argue that Stella has her ups, right? The issue with heroes like Stella, and I'm not going to say she's bad, right? She obviously is really good in her own regards. But I mean, she's only good at being tanky and being able to, a lot of her like upside is like her counter damage, etc. If you throw her in a, like, let's say you're in Genesis War and your best your best rally captain's a Stella, right? Genesis is a fast-paced event, right? And I mean, you can also equate this in an island raid. Let's say you're in a situation where you need to push somebody fast. Stella's not going to pump out that damage really quickly.
Nope.
I mean, she's great for a slow burn, right? But that's about it. She's just great for slow burning. And I mean, that's the same with Genesis. You have a 1 hour period. You can't spend that hour just trying to slowly take people down with the Stella rally, because I mean, ultimately, as long as they're able to just outfill that or be able to, upkeep it, you're fine, right? Whereas like a, Sophie or Rubina or whatever, it would absolutely slam you in damage, and it's much harder to kind of keep up with and, maintain. So I don't know.
Especially when you
start
talking,
my favorite.
Yeah, especially when you start talking about multi rallies and things like that. Like Stella starts to shine more in Archipelago raid, where you send her as a first rally to tank the damage from the garrison, and then have two supporting damage rallies to deal damage to. So that in that situation, there's playability. But again, just like you said, it's not a fast paced game. That's a prepare for 35, 45-minute garrison type things, right?
Yeah. I mean, like even in Archipelago raid and Island raid, right? There are going to always be situations where you're actually forced into a fast pace or like a fast option, right? Like even raiding an outpost. Like I'm sure like if the garrison sucks, and you're still going to out damage and you're going to hurt it. But I mean, ultimately, being able to pump out a ton of damage and drop something fast can really be the difference between a win or a loss in a lot of cases. So I don't think you're really going to have that with Stella in a lot of scenarios. I mean, there's obviously like a lot of upside to her, like I said, right? Especially if you're a team that can't control the field, right? I'm sure it brings you more benefits than downsides, but I don't know. Well, just not my favorite.
I also kind of look at it when I look at the super weapon heroes, because if you look at Stella, for example, right? She's a rally captain hero, right? That's effectively what she was designed for, as that rally garrison captain or that rally captain. But people started putting her, because of her super weapon capabilities and because of kind of the unbalance of having those super weapons, people put her in that garrison role. But let's be honest, that's not her main priority. Yes, can she do it? Sure. But even talking to people that do that, they'll tell you it's really kind of situational depending on what you need. It's not your be all and end all run to first case. Whereas having someone like Boyd can become that, it fits into that position a lot more. Don't get me wrong, you're probably still going to see Boyd Stella garrisons, but you'll probably still see a lot more Boyd Rivens and things like that by comparison. So I think, having them have more of their specific roles carved out kind of plays more for the build of the hero itself.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's I don't know. I think infantry definitely needs that boost, and I think Boyd and them are pretty good for it. I mean, I'm sure like I said earlier, Z's not going to be too much of a fan just because I don't think he offered what he really wanted. But I don't think Boyd's going to be as bad as everybody kind of is equating him to. I think like you even could say the same with Stella, right? People weren't really expecting her to be be a Garrison, and I mean, like, look at what people are using her for now, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and she's doing just fine, and like, just because you're building her for all that counter damage, eating them up and stuff, and I mean, she just slams people, so shows everybody has that hidden Superman ability.
Well, it's like it's because the game is not properly balanced, right? They added these superheroes, and so like these super weapon heroes are so strong that they can kind of be used anywhere. I mean, Chad uses Rubina Chasey, for example, which hits harder than a lot of the other ones. A lot because she adds the extra basic attack damage. A lot because Rubina's damage is pretty crazy, and then you can go ahead and garrison with Rubina Chasey pretty decently as well, and having kind of that like, so putting them both together is like it becomes the meta, just because. I mean, even Ethan Bard, I've seen Ethan Bards being run on rallies, which is
I've seen that
weird to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen that actually Garrison.
Yeah, I've seen
we were
it Garrison
playing against
too.
59E in Pompeii, and they were asking why we were running Sophie and Ethan, and I somewhat understand why they used Bard, but at the same time, I still wouldn't equate him to being better on a Garrison. I mean,
Sure, but here's the thing:
I don't know.
when you
Besides
equate
defense
all the
production, right?
damage, when you equate all the AoE damage that happens from those two specifically together, it's more that like it's enough to bypass the fact that he loses out on some certain skills from not being in garrison or from being in garrison. The sheer amount of damage. And that's what I think this also brings to the garrison or to the defensive line for infantry, because it's more of a balance. Infantry already has decent defense, right? Even against ranged, right? We still have decent defense as long as you have the good heroes in your place, as long as you have the armaments and stuff like that in your place, you still hold off decently well. But what this brings is the extra damage. Bringing in 15,350 when he's transcended damage from Boyd that's crazy. That's crazy. As a flat, without including his 30% addition. So like, that's a lot of damage. It's what infantry needs.
That's true.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's true. Like, you can keep going.
I was just going to say, I do find it a little bit interesting, though, and it is something that I pointed in my video, that they have such a difference in his skills being either garrison or rally. But the way that I've broken it down, the way that I can kind of picture it working in my head is that when he's on the field, he's just more aggressive. He does more damage, more attack, things like that. When he's in garrison, he's going to provide more of that defense, more of that HP, more of the kind of resistance from there, that extra kind of, because I believe he also gets the
turtle stats.
Yeah, more of the turtle stats from there. Once you get that, I mean, 35% HP is nothing to gawk at. You know what I mean? 35% HP is huge.
I mean, yeah, I don't doubt that he'll be pretty good on Garrison. I mean, we can speculate all we want, and I guess the end result is really what matters, right? I mean,
yeah, once you
Z is gonna try him out
for sure. He'll have him transcended within the first two events.
He's been saving so much. His workshop's probably gonna be all 25 across, and he'll be like, "Okay, guys, I'm just a little small fry still, but let's see how Boyd does."
Well,
and you're like, "Well, dude, you're maxed out on workshop."
Yeah, I don't know about you, but my TC this time has been pretty easy, so I think I'm gonna try to take it this time.
Mine has actually too, to be honest. Mine's been really easy. And then every screenshot I see on Discord is like people with like 5K, 6K people with still, and then I get like the top one in mine is under 2K.
So don't get me wrong, my splendid steel is not good by any stretch. I've got SSI in mine. I've got DHX in mine. I've got Bs from SSI in mine, and they're at almost 7,000 for splendid steel. But my top commander, I don't have them in my top commander. So
mine's kind of the same, but
in that side,
my steel is much easier.
Yeah, my splendid steel this time is ridiculous, so I'll probably hold off until next time to do my splendid steel. But I'm gonna try to take the TC because I'm in first place right now for both days, and I'm up by 16 million right now going into day 3, and I've got 150,000 troops ready to redeem. So, and like 10,000 more hours of training to do if I wanted to. So I'm still situated well to take first place so that I can at least have Boyd awakened. And then I can start worrying about transcending from there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad my steel looks easy, because the thing is, when you go for ranking in top commander, you generally are hoping that your steel is easy, because obviously you get extra fragments, energy cores based off of your ranking, right? in Top Commander. So
Yeah,
it
an
is nice if
additional
you can
10% or
bring
12% or
both,
whatever.
right? 12%, yeah. So I'm just glad mine's kind of easy because I'm gonna try to get all I want are the two skills, bro. I don't want anything else. Just give me the two skills, bro. I just want them for the field, man.
I could
Give them
take
to me,
fourth.
please.
I could take fourth, but that would take everything to take fourth, and that would only give me how many?
Well, you don't even know if it'll be secured
85.
yet, right? It could always go higher. There's still a day left, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't even try it right now.
Well,
Trying to
that's what I'm
do
saying.
it.
I wouldn't do it until the end, but like my first three positions for my Splendid Steel are all above 6,500. They're all really close though: 67, 73, 67, 84, and 67, 87. So you know that the three at the top are gonna probably
This is
push.
1.7K, bro.
I wish.
Yo, good luck with that.
I
Oh,
wish.
bozo, man.
But
Could it be me?
But I'll tell you, like I said, my TC itself is really low. I'm first place on Hero Day, Roulette Day, with only 56 million, and I just was over 100 million on day one for like speed ups and shit. So it's like there's not a lot of whales in this
Bro,
one.
day two is really hard. I don't know. I got someone in mine that's almost 70 million points on day two. I had 116 million points on day one. I only have, I can't freaking find my thing, but I only have like probably around 20, 30 million points for day two. I just like, there's only so much for me to do here. I mean, yeah, you can do your heroes, but I didn't have a ton of fragments on me right now. So
Yeah, I had a ton.
Just like
I
whatever.
was saving a lot for this. I have been saving a lot. I had and still have. Like for honing day, for example, I've got 500 honing searches, not armament searches, pardon me, and I've got over 500 rare hones, and I've got 4
Bro,
training.
I'm praying.
Yeah.
I'm praying that the honing event, right? It coincides with the honing thing
Yeah.
because they did it last time during Genesis. So, like, please, developers, I'm on my knees.
Yeah, I'm hoping they bring it around this time too. I have been waiting. I'm sitting on, like I said, I'm sitting on about over 500 hones, so a couple of guaranteed reds. I know Chad is sitting on 1,400 hones right now, so he's waiting for it too.
I'm on for 700 right now. Like, dude, I just need it.
Yeah.
Please give it to me.
He wants to get his Rubino finally over 7 million. He's at 6, 8, 9 or something.
You guys gonna go fight Z again?
Fuck no.
No, you got it, bro. You got it. 7 mil hero. Come on now.
We only got one
Bring it
on our
out.
whole team. Are you kidding? I'm gonna, sit back and use
Yeah,
that.
Z's roster is
It's crazy.
Z's roster isn't too insane.
It's crazy.
Like his like they don't care about field because they just have so many garrison and rally captains. I'm just like, bro, you guys can suck it.
Well, which is funny.
Like, I love you, Z, but I'm not hitting that.
Which is funny because I've been taking that strategy and using it. So like in Pompeii, for example, today we basically have been starting the strategy of removing all field fighting, focusing only on rallies and garrisons, right? The only time we field fight is for zombies and for canisters. Other than that, remove all your troops from the field and survive on rallies and garrisons, right? And
It can be effective if you're significantly stronger than if you're, I don't know. It depends, right? If your rally captains are significantly stronger and then they're so focused on swarming out all the rallies and stuff, it can help a lot.
That becomes the thing. So here's what happened today. As soon as and we lost the tyrant zombies, like half of them the first time because they invaded the field really, really aggressively, right? But we ended up winning because of, building points and things like that. And what would happen is we would send our rallies and they would swarm them. We would send the super strong, 7 million Rubina, and they would swarm them, and they would swarm them with so much and cost so much. And, so by the, the halfway mark, they have no troops left. But it was funny because as we're retreating...
I was going to say, it also costs more than troops, right? You're spending so much time swarming those instead of going for the enemy stations. Like,
yeah.
It's so restrictive.
Well, exactly.
Right,
it changes your focus, right? So their entire focus was... it went from controlling the field, and since we weren't there anymore, they had to, respond. And they responded by swarming rallies, which is bad for them. I'll let them swarm every day. And swarming outposts, which is bad for them. I'll let them swarm every day. And then... because they ended up losing out on troops, halfway through, we ended up getting all the canisters because they weren't able to meet up for the middle. Halfway through, they ran out of troops, so they weren't able to fight for zombies anymore. So it's like his strategy isn't wrong. if you have the garrison and rally captains, you don't really need to worry about the field. And it's funny to watch how other people respond to that because they don't know how to deal with it when people aren't fighting them either.
And the worst part of fighting Z is like, usually field control is actually really significant for defending side, right?
Sure.
Like, like storming out rallies, right? But you can't do that to Z's rally. It's, the freaking crackhead Stella. So you're just forced to sit there like a bunch of cucks trying to get reinforcements. And the issue about infantry is you can be fast if you have like, a Dut Miyamoto marches. So you just send in a Dut Miyamoto jumping through bases, run in, and they can't just snipe the reinforcements. Whereas if you send a range rally, it's a bit different.
Yeah.
Because, speed and health and all that kind of factors into things. So it's
Sure.
bro, it's probably the worst you could the freaking worst thing you could fight against.
And you know that he's sending that Stella hoping that you swarm him. You know that he has it statted with counter damage so heavily that you look at it and it's going to hurt you. Like, you know what I mean? You think about clicking that rally button and you get a shock in your finger. You know what I mean? Like that's what he's trying to set up.
5K a tick and you're like, oh hell no.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me turn around.
You see that counter damage, you're like, I got a 5.5 billion, 5.5 million hero. I'm good. Let's fucking hit that. And then no, you're not. You're not good.
Wait, Pat, you guys hold this tower all you want.
Yeah, exactly. So
he's so hard to fight.
So I'm gonna be interested to see how he makes Boyd work because Boyd is one of those ones that has kind of benefit to fighting in the field. So. And same with Eileen, like they kind of want to be there, so it'll be interesting to see how FIB makes a play of these new heroes.
It is actually interesting you mentioned that too, because I know Z mentioned it, right? But he was saying how bad Stella was in the field, and I know he uses Stella in the field, but it's because it's probably inconvenient to swap armaments around.
Mm-hmm.
So I bet him having that new hero is gonna be so convenient. He's gonna be like, oh, finally I can actually field fight with freaking Boyd and not this doo-doo ball Stella.
Yeah, and to be fair,
Boyd.
you could even put Stella as a co-lead to Boyd. Like it wouldn't be bad. And in Garrison, like she'd still do pretty well, to Garrison as well. So like there's many benefits to running the two of them together. At least that I can still see. Like he's got flexibility but a dead hand. I don't know if you ever noticed this, but his hand looks dead. Boyd's hand looks dead.
Let me check it out. I feel like oh yeah.
Just look at his fingers, just like it looks like his entire hand is dislocated.
You're kind of right. It just looks like a like a hand after it's been, I don't know, chopped off or something, and it's
deboned.
It
looks
like the iron grip.
Yeah, it just looks like a deboned flesh hand.
You're making me think of Eileen for a second, right? Every time I look at her, I forget that she has her hand on her hip. It's like freaking like it looks like a sleeve, right? Did that happen to you too? Like you thought the whole you thought that like that you see like the, I don't even know what that is.
Oh my god, I never noticed that.
Yeah, it looked like an arm, and I was like, what the heck? And then I noticed her hand was on her hip, and I was like, what
I thought her arm was inside that hose thing.
No.
What the fuck?
See, it tricked you too, man.
Yeah, it got me.
No, I had to look for a second, and then I saw that, and I was like, oh, it's on her hip. And it always gets me every single time I open it, and then I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just dumb.
No, you're not dumb. We're all just blind. But yeah, Boyd's hand is dead, and I think it's funny.
I wouldn't even say we're blind. It's that the developers like put cloth over our eyes to trick us out.
Cloth over an arm. Why would they like code the hand so weird though? That's just so weird to me. Anyways,
it looks like a sleeve, right? It looks like it's a part of that's a sleeve that goes down in that.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, I mean, and the whole thing doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah, it's a weird design.
But either way, those are.
What does that even do?
Exactly.
Yeah,
it has to do with her gun. I think it's all connected to her gun and her back piece.
It better be one hell of a gun if it's taking up all that room on your back. You're not outrunning no zombies.
Well, she does do 22,000 damage.
True. So...
Actually, what, 30,000 damage?
Yeah, it should be over 30. Yeah, I was about to say it should be over 30 because
she's
got the 14K and then
2 8Ks.
Well, technically 14.5 if you awaken her, and then two 8.5K. So that's actually
so 17 plus 14, 33,000.
Yeah, over 30K.
Jesus
damage.
Christ.
Yeah, if you see that on the field, how are you gonna feel?
And that
especially if she's awakened, right?
That doesn't even account for her other damage factor too. Her second damage.
If you pair with Boyd, that's a skill damage increase proc on that too, right?
And
It's even
you
worse.
pair that with Boyd, where he also has shield damage. Like, there's just so much
Oh my
damage from that
god.
team, bro. Eileen
Bro,
Boyd
I'm
is gonna
telling
be
you, I'm
sick
awakening
in the
that.
field.
I'm awakening that, man. I'm awakening that.
Yeah,
Nothing's stopping.
I'm definitely getting Boyd first though. I think I definitely have to get Boyd first though. But that's just because I'm a
I
Garrison
just need
main, and
those
I think he's
skills.
gonna be more useful in Garrison, at least for me.
Even if it's just for field, right? I mean, even if I'm pairing Boyd with Miyamoto until I have a lean up, right? Like
Yeah.
I just rather have Boyd right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because Miyamoto isn't bad. I mean, I know it was mentioned, but like his skill damage is actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're hitting the 3 targets. I'd say the only thing about Aline, the difference is it's just that you're so restricted. And I mean, obviously, if you awaken or sorry, get the skin from Miyamoto, you do have the circular AoE. But the thing about Miyamoto is his fan shaped, right? Which is what
Sure.
most people are gonna actually have, right? So you're so much more restricted. Whereas people, if they're just like hitting you from behind with marches, Aline's gonna be able to hit you from behind because it has been confirmed. I mean, if you saw like the AOE, but it is circular, right? So much better with Aline. Freaking love it,
Okay,
man.
so it is AOE then.
Yeah. I think someone was testing with zombies because
Well, I just want to know.
MSR tagged me.
I'm just curious whether it's considered AOE damage or whether it's considered direct damage.
I'm actually wondering that too because I want to know if it's actually impacted on Daryl's skill, right? Because it doesn't like clarify it as AOE damage.
That's right.
Like
It
it's not
doesn't.
classified.
Yeah, it's not saying in a certain in a shape or whatever. It just says nearby targets. And the way that chain lightning works in my brain is that it goes from target to target to target. It's not like a to everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Kind of what I was thinking too. So I don't know if Daryl's actual area of effect reduction skill would work on her, and if it doesn't work, that's insane, right? Like
That
that's
makes it
insane.
even better. Yeah.
You're literally negating all of his upside.
Hmm.
What makes Daryl so good?
So I mean, I have to assume then that it is AOE. That it has to be AOE.
I would assume it might be right. It might just be like they just didn't do the wording to call it AOE, and they're probably still like considering it that. But
Yeah.
if it isn't, they're insane, bro. They're
I
insane
hope it is.
for giving us this absolute demon.
But she's definitely bringing she's definitely bringing exactly what you want her to bring. Massive increases to attack, massive increases to damage, speed, infantry just damage increases.
Hand on the hip.
Yeah, I mean booty. She's
Like
I mean,
everything a guy needs, man.
that's right. She's probably she's a redhead, so she's gonna be freaking the sheets. That's just how it works.
Is that actually how it works? That a secret strat out here?
Why you didn't know? You didn't know
I
us
didn't cop the
redheads?
strategy, man.
Us redheads are gifted. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't cop the strategy, bro. I'll put it in my notebook for next time.
Yeah, just remember if you dye your hair, you can take advantage of it like by proxy. Give yourself a red head and
Oh my god.
it's like donning a +2 helmet or something.
All the redheads I talked to before, if only I knew.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
only I knew they were freaks.
If only you had this like but now that you know, right? Now that you know, use it to your advantage, my friend. Use it to your
Yeah. With great power comes great responsibility.
That's
I'll
right.
keep it in mind.
That's right. And many Vegas trips. No, but seriously though. So that's what we're going to talk about, or we're going to finish up with the 2 new heroes. Like we've mentioned, they're expected to be very good. On paper, they look good. So I would suggest, obviously, adding them. If you're an infantry mate, add them to your repertoire, and then use them as you see fit, which gives you lots of, choice, right? They both want to be in the field. Boyd likes to be in Garrison too. So you've kind of got options there. Next, let's move into Worlds. This is something that I'm excited about. Excited for you now about. I didn't get the call, but my boy Panda did. Congratulations.
Bro, I mean, I was kind of surprised, to be honest, man. I couldn't even be excited. Like, I literally was sleep deprived.
Yeah.
Because I was fighting an AR, and I just see the mail, and I'm like, yeah, let's go, guys. I'm like, oh, let's go.
No, that's good.
And I'm just like half passed out.
That's good though. I'm excited for
yeah,
you. It's the second round back-to-back episodes. You get to see see how it changes from one season to the next.
True. I will say they had talked to me, right? And this is just because I already talked to the admin, right? But she told me about how they had planned, and I don't know if we mentioned this on the last podcast, but they had planned to have their own people do the commentary this time,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know how it's gonna go because I know even Z was interested in doing it, but he was like, oh, if I can't commentate, I don't really want to go. So he was like, okay, I'm not going. But I do think like it's kind of weird they're doing it, and I do get they're newer out, right? They're obviously going to be testing because they have really done a whole lot. Um, so they're probably testing and trying to experiment, but I don't really know how the how good it's going to be, right? Because so many people were upset last time with
Mm-hmm.
the other. I'm not trying to be a dickhead, but with the other co-host, right, who was
Sure,
doing the
sure.
commentating over it. So it's like you probably want people who actually know what they're talking about in the game, and not just people that you've kind of
So
employed.
unless the people that they have coming to do the commentating are involved with the developers in some way, do you know what I mean? Like if they're involved
Yeah.
with the game or whether they're players themselves or something like that. Like that would be something I'd be totally fine with. If it's just like someone that they've hired as an outside group, do you know what I mean? Like they've just contracted out event hosts or whatever, I think that's probably going to be a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, thing is, like last time, from what I understood, the guy who did it with me, he was a employee or whatever of IGG.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue was like he mentioned that he'd been playing the game for quite a while, but he hadn't really, right? I'm pretty sure he started an account with beta, and he probably kept up with the game and kind of understood the basics, but he didn't understand like a lot of the main war mechanics, even what to focus on during the fights, right? I remember one issue was I would try to like hit him at like little small skirmishes around the map, right? Like you want people want to see what's going on, except for like they don't only want to spectate the main fight, right?
Right.
They want to see, hey, these outposts are getting sniped, this is getting stolen, this is getting snagged, da 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 da, right? They want to see what kind of plays these guys are making. What are the playmakers doing? Not just, hey, these guys have been fighting over an incubator for 30 minutes. You get what I'm saying? Like, you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to just only focus on that. And I felt like that was a big miss on his part. And I don't think he like understood. And I kind of wish I had taken control of the camera for that, because I actually do think I originally I agreed, like, okay, you can control it, right? And then that happened, and I was like, God, I should have insisted on controlling the screen. I just don't like doing it because I'm actually really quick with how I move around. That I know of, like, it might get people like dizzy, so I'd have to be very conscious about how much I'm moving around the screen. And if I was to do that, I probably would have wanted a second computer just to look at stuff before I go over there. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Instead of zooming around the map to see what fights are happening. So
Well,
I probably would have needed a.
ideally that's what they should be having anyways, is like, one kind of group that's handling the camera aspects and then one kind of group that's like commenting on what they're seeing. It shouldn't really be like the commenters, in my opinion, shouldn't be handling the cameras as well, right? If you look at sporting
Sure,
events, for
sure.
example, you look at hockey, for example, the camera guys are doing their own thing. They're following the puck, they're following the action, they're going back and forth. The commentators are commenting on what's happening. Even on the TV aspect, they're commentating on what's happening and not controlling the cameras in the same process. So I think having that gives it more of a capability for the commentators to react to what's happening and give less of a focus on them needing to plan what's happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, one thing also, right? I'm pretty sure I don't know if I've talked about it on the thing, but I mean, I've talked about this before, where I think one big miss, and I hope they do fix it, or they did fix it, right? Was that they had an issue when we were commentating. It was coming over like the speakers in the venue, which
Yep.
I understood why, because there were obviously people in the venue who were there to watch, the thing, and they don't want to just watch without anything like keeping you engaged, right? Like I'm pretty sure even if you're in the venue, you still want commentary because it just keeps things hype.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is the players didn't have like noise canceling headphones or anything like that, so they weren't hearing what was going on. So I had to restrict myself to what I was saying, which makes absolutely no sense because obviously the people there and the people on the stream are gonna want to see like or hear, hey, this is what's happening, instead of, oh well, I can only commentate what's happening in the main fights, not
Mm-hmm.
these people are snagging the incubator without these guys noticing, or these guys are stealing
Yeah,
this
you don't want to end up
outpost.
giving too much
No.
like tips and tricks to the other team.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was so kind of, it was a little bit aggravating for me, but I mean, it was fine, right? I understood. Like, it's still a first time, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's bound to be mistakes. People were all upset with IG, but honestly, considering it was the first time, I honestly think they did really good. I will say, given that this is their second time, and that there were so many people who were not, I wouldn't say they were upset, but at the same time, they weren't like, they didn't love the like the other host,
Mm-hmm.
it is kind of surprising for me that they're saying, "Hey, we're not going to have any you know, influencers or whatever do the commentating this time." It is a little bit surprising. Like you would have assumed that they would have actually been pushing for it more, considering how like I feel like the reactions were. I'm not trying to like toot my horn, but like people were even like, "Oh, you carried that, right?" Like you know what I mean?
Unless,
Like literally, right? I
unless their mentality is that their guy was better. Unless
I mean, it's
they
possible
think,
they're planning something else.
you know,
Like they have something else in the book. So I guess we'll see, right?
it's true, but like it just doesn't make sense to me unless their thought process is, well, we don't have to bring a content creator because we're bringing content creators to do their thing, so we don't have to bring a content creator to do the casting. We can maybe look at outsourcing it from there to someone who's done it before. But even in that situation, you haven't had anybody who's casted these things this game before, because how many tournaments have you had of this, right? Like how many live events have you had? Fucking one. Like it's not like you've had people who've done it before, and it's not like you can take anybody who has played other games and just throw them in here and let them do okay, because that's just not how it works. There's too much context, There's too much discrepancy between the actual mechanics.
Yeah, I mean, even if you got someone from like Rise of Kingdoms, for example, right, to come do the commentating for this game, like if they don't understand like what hero is what, right, how this hero works, da 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 da. I mean, it can be the difference between the commentary being better, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm sure you know what I mean, right? But I don't really get it. I was a little surprised when I heard that. I was like, huh, like yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna hate until I see it, I guess. Like they could be planning something, and I'm just being a hater over here, and I'm hater McGee.
Turns out they've
So we'll
got
see, I
Save
guess.
Me. Save Me as a commentator.
Oh my gosh, bro.
Just kidding. He'll be playing and commentating at the same time. So they're going to have him play and commentate. So he'll have access to
Dude,
the cameras.
that'd be kind of great, to be honest. Just
Shit.
thick. I wonder if he'd be trying to like if he just has like a thick Russian accent, like "Hello guys,
Just a really
hello
thick...
guys, I'm here.
Hello.
I'm here to commentate today."
Hello. I am Save Me. Come to commentate.
I just rid a bear to the tournament, and now he's going to salvage Panda.
That's right.
He's going to rip him up.
I came here for one
bear.
reason. I came here for one reason. Panda, where are you?
Oh my gosh, he throws some boxing gloves at me. I'm just walking the other way, man.
I'm
Like,
here for
okay.
one reason. To hell with worlds.
Snap.
Where's Panda?
My
I mean,
butthole
most of
gets...
these guys are like twice my age too, so
Yeah.
I'd probably get snapped over somebody's knee. I'd be like, okay.
Well, as soon as that happened, my butthole
I'm never
gets
walking
real
again.
tight real fast. You know what I mean? Like, ugh!
Yeah.
No, not me.
I know you'd be watching from you'd be watching. You just hit the like button. You're like, oh, finally, it's getting interesting.
Share the stream. Share the stream. Watch party.
And they're like, why? They're like, why would I they're like, why would we commentate on the championship when we can commentate on this fight?
Yeah, exactly. Probably a bit more intense and more entertaining.
It looked the same as if Save Me fought me in game, right? Like you're not getting a different result. Come on now.
Turns out Save Me's really like 5'2", like 100 pounds soaking wet.
So all I gotta do is jump over him.
He's just this like really less than average guy.
I mean, that saves me the trouble, man. I just
Drives a big truck.
all I gotta do is become a track star, man. Just start jumping the hurdles.
Just jump over Save Me. Hurdle. Am I not
Bro,
hurdle enough for the hurdle club?
That'd be perfect.
Never mind. So, when I do want to ask though, when it comes to Worlds, what are you looking forward to? Like, are you kind of, because one of the things that, and the only reason I bring this up is because one of the things that I was looking forward to is like having the capability of separating myself from the event. Do you know what I mean? Like going to enjoy the event, but like from a different perspective, not as a viewer, but as a content creator, as an individual needing to be there for the other purpose. So what are you looking forward to? What are some of the things that you can't wait to?
I felt like going to commentate was honestly super cool. I will say I do wish I could have gone for that again. Though in all fairness, I do think like I don't know, even now, right? You're you're still kind of not, you're still obviously there for a different purpose, but I do agree, right? You're still kind of involved. You usually get someone who's like kind of in charge of you and like kind of takes care of you, or I wouldn't even say takes care of you, but right, but if you have questions or if you need to do something, they'll talk to you, which is just kind of cool, right? And being there for I guess a purpose, it's kind of cool, right? I didn't really think of it like that, but honestly, yeah, going there for something other than just like spectating. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of excited, right?
You should be.
More of it, more than anything, I'm excited to just meet people again because meeting people was kind of the best part. Like meeting Hans and them. Oh my gosh, I never used to call him Hans. I think I only ever started calling him Hans because freaking. I think Armor Red said that, and it's Hands. It's Hands. He even told me it's Hands. But you know, meeting Hands was honestly
Catch these
cool,
hands.
and I know that SSI is going to be there again. I know
Yeah.
that some people from HMB are going to be there again. So that's gonna be cool. I want to meet them again.
Yeah.
Uh, who else was going? Who else was it? Do you remember the two teams?
I'm gonna pull it up here right now. I wanted to look at the
SSI,
World Shoes at Championships because I thought there was 4 going anyways, wasn't there?
There's ROK, and there was a fourth one. Yeah, I don't know what the fourth one was though. They had like a random tag, right?
HMB, SSI, Gaul, and KOR.
But Core is like Korea, right? So I'm pretty sure it's ROK.
Yeah, so
Core is just like Team Korea.
Team Gaul is Golan, and this is led by King. ROK is there. ROK is there.
Oh wait, Gaul, like the fourth team, right? That we don't know who it is. If it's King, that's 4KO.
Yeah, King.
And I guess he just brought together
ROK, RRZ, ROK, ROK, 1A.
Wait, RZ?
RRZ.
No way, bro. They got those guys. RZ is from NTD. He's that monster.
So they got, So
Yo.
team leader is King. The members are ROK Zix, RRZ, Mabo, 1A, ROK Genie, ROK
Okay,
FAP.
That's
and then,
4KO. Yeah.
And then ROK.
Yeah, that's mostly 4KO.
Yeah. And then there's
Oh
also
my gosh, bro.
Korea. Team Korea being led by Venom.
Dude, come on, man. I'm looking forward to it now. Wait, who's on Team Korea? Wait, Venom is leading Team Korea? That's actually kind of surprising because
Venom is leading Korea. UOD Santa's going. IC8, a name I can't pronounce. IC8 Ash, Alice. UOD Kong.
Oh, so that's not ROK then. I guess ROK is mixed with 4KO for this one then. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess it's IC8, UOD, and the other team. Damn, bro, this is kind of lit,
FL.
man. I can't wait to meet some of them, bro. It's like one of the best parts. And actually, no, Breaker from TPL. I think I might meet him at the tournament. That's one guy I wanted to meet up with. He's actually a really cool guy. So
Nice.
that'll be cool because I think he's flying down separately. So I was like, bet.
Well, these guys got so much money, going to this tournament is nothing for them.
True.
I mean, they spend.
To be fair,
more
I
on
think
an event than what
Breaker lives nearby, right?
Yeah.
Though he did want to go. I think he was pretty upset because it's being held in South Korea because he actually lives closer there than Singapore, and I think he just wanted to. I think he wanted to go somewhere different for a change, whereas I'm pretty sure he's been to South Korea, so he probably was a little bit more upset with it being there. But hey, man, I'm still glad I get to meet him either way, bro.
No doubt. It's
Gonna
gonna.
be
I think
cool.
it's gonna be a good event. And like I said, I'm still gonna try. I haven't gotten any word on it. I haven't gotten the heads up, but I'm gonna try to get there either way. Even if I go as an MC, I think that would be great too. And like we were talking about, I think
in a
that's
way,
more,
MC might be more cool.
I think.
More of an experience.
Well, not to mention, I think it's more up my alley for what I do, anyways. Like, I mean, I can vlog and I can create content, but even like I mentioned, I'm not really I don't do that as much. I do a lot more of the deep dives, the interviews, the things like that. So I think it might be a little better.
To be fair, I don't think most of us do vlogs, right? Like I only did the vlog one time for the one time, right? I didn't even, it wasn't even the main focus of my trip either, which is kind of funny. But clearly
excited?
that's my focus this time.
You excited to bring some more
Hammer
stuff and
everybody
vlog
too.
this shit out now? Oh boy!
Heck yeah, man! Hopefully I get another Doomsday pillow. Oh yeah, did I ever show you those? It's my closet. I mean,
Yeah, you showed me all your Doomsday merch, your swag.
yeah. I got my pillow. Oh my gosh, bro! I don't use them on my bed, but I keep them in my closet because I wouldn't want my dog stealing my pillow.
You got to get that swag, bro. Yeah, Otis steals everything.
You're gonna
Oh.
steal my Doomsday pillow, and I'm gonna be crying.
He must have heard his name. His head just popped up as soon as I said his name.
My gosh, Otis,
There he is. That's a good boy.
Otis.
All right, so worlds. We've gone through the worlds. We've gone through new heroes. These are exciting things to look at. Last thing we're going to touch base into today is AR. We just had Archipelago raid just recently, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it. And it's not like there's anything special about it, but I wanted to go through and give some like things for people to kind of remember about AR. Because like what I've noticed, and I'm sure you've noticed it too, a lot of times, you know, you get into with legions that don't participate enough. You get into legions that don't have the active members. And so like half of it is about how do you get into a better region? How do you get into a better alliance? Like what are the things to look for? And half of it is to just get out and actually do it. Because one of the things that, and what I mean by that is people build troops to do what with them? They should be built. You should exactly. They should be built not just to get into the hospital. They should be built to kill. Okay, you have to get past this ideology of just, you know, using them to fill your hospital and that's it. And that limits everything. Because part of me says, I get it, right? You don't want to lose the troops that you've built, but then you're missing out on everything that is successful in the alliance, right? Rallies and garrisons are so quintessential. And yet if all you're doing is fighting in the field till your hospital's full, you're not participating in those. And so your alliance is not, you know, benefiting from it either. Like you guys had an AR, for example, where you had was it your region or your legion that wasn't very active, or your allied legion?
It was iffy. So our allied legion had OXO, and OXO was the only ones who showed up for any chainsaw zombies.
Right.
BBII didn't want to fight because they had beef with us because of the incident where they were racist to my Russian R4. So yeah.
Jeez.
And the ENX was a bit weird. They were actually kind of active, but I didn't really see them for like zombie fights and stuff. I do think they did like some pushes, but that was about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I forget who the other AMRA. They did a little bit. It wasn't actually too bad, but they were, the issue with these teams were they were all mostly only active at one period during the day. And I kind of understand it, right? That you can't be active all the time. But even like BDTN, right? It was weird because, you know, you kind of also expect, like, when you spend so much money on your account, right? Generally, you're going to be more inclined to play a little bit more, maybe stay up a little bit later for a fight. But these guys were only one time zone. That you could only rely on them for one fight time, and outside of that, nothing. So it was really odd. Honestly, I was just kind of let down about the whole thing. Two alliances in our legion, they actually did try to fight. I can appreciate they at least did like really good filler duty. But, you know, it's like they weren't G6 teams, right? It's not their fault that they weren't supposed to be in this kind of bracket. I mean, like even G6 in general, how the heck do you got 4 alliances per legion? That doesn't even make sense, bro. Like, it's G6, bro.
Yeah, isn't that like the top of Elite?
Top of Elite, yeah. And we were weaker than like down at G10. To be fair, obviously it's because we had less alliances, but why give us less alliances? We're still the top of Elite. It's not the top of Elite if you give us freaking 4 alliances and not 5. Like,
if you undercut the amount. We had 6 in ours. Why didn't you have 6 in yours?
You know, we got cut down by 2, so have fun with that, buddy.
Yeah, compared to that one time you saw the one bracket last AR where they had 2 alliances in every legion. You saw that one?
I mean, on the upside, at least that was the weakest elite bracket. You know what I mean? Like on this on the upside, like this was freaking the highest elite bracket, and somehow we only got 4 alliances per legion. It doesn't make sense. And even the alliances in the legions, right? I mean, I was looking at G7, and it was clearly much more stacked, right? You had like ROK Wells there, you had Fib, you had HMBB, you know, you had all those guys, right?
In G7. I remember looking at that.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, I kind of wish I got in G7. That looked a lot more fun.
A lot more fight heavy.
And honestly, I've been wanting to lose for a while, right? I kind of sound like a sore loser, but like, I really wanted to lose, but I didn't want to lose in this way. It just felt so weird because I felt like we kind of, I don't know. I want a legion where I can do. Everybody's doing everything they can, and we lose still, right? Like we just lose with like a death fight. But that case, it just felt so weird. I don't even know how to explain it. It just felt off.
This brings up my point that I had written down here that I wanted to get to. Involves winning and losing the right way to make this game enjoyable. Like, don't get me wrong, going into like winning is fun, sure. But when you go into IR, for example, and I notice this happens a lot with IR, and you're one of the top teams, right? And I think we've even spoken about this too, how they typically have like 2 stronger teams, like 4 mid teams, and then 2 like
three.
weak,
Always 2 to 3 teams.
Yeah, 2 to 3 at like the cream of the crop at the top, like 4 kind of in the middle that might, that should be there, that are kind of more evenly balanced, and then typically 1 or 2 that are on the shit end of the stick, right? And this seems to be the matchmaking that they seem to give us. And it's like, winning is fun, but if you're just given the win, it's not fun. And it's like,
not at all.
It's the same when you go for losing. Losing can be fun if you had to try to get there.
Bro, Island Raid was so wonky for me for this reason. Like, I'd say it wasn't easy because it was still kind of fun, but we went in, right? And Lost, right? Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
So Lost goes into Island Raid chat, and they basically announce like it's us and this team, have fun, right? So they basically announce we're going in 2v6, and they did pick up a third team. I think they actually tried to pick up one of our allies to make it a 4v4 after like day 1 or whatever. I don't remember, but it was like I've never had a bracket that I wasn't able to more so dictate, right, on how allies went. So going in here, right, because generally, right, I'm not trying to be like that, but like in Elite, we are generally one of the stronger teams, right? Frankly, we're generally one of the strongest, if not the strongest in our bracket. So we can generally dictate, like, okay, well, we don't want to ally these guys. We're only allying this team, right? And we're usually the ones who can say, hey, we're going to 2v6, we're going to 3v5, whatever the case.
Right.
So them doing that was, okay. But then when we fought Lost, the issue is every time we fought them, all we fought was Rogue and Z, bro. And those are the hardest points I've ever earned because they nobody else really was giving us the good ones, right? So we literally every time we wanted to field fight, every time we wanted to place a tower, you just see Rogue and Z teleport up and you're like, oh, okay. No, okay, thank you guys. Here we go again. So I was just like, bro.
Yeah. No, I've
put me out of my misery.
I've fought Z enough of her lifetime, man. I'm fine.
No, not from Fib, not from Fib.
No,
it was a different Z from Lost.
From Lost. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, any of those guys. Listen, any of those guys, right? Like Rogue is a machine. I played with it. We got him in one. In the one AR, I got a chance to play with him. The guy's a beast. I would never want to end up on that side.
Dude. He's more annoying because he's a smarter beast, right? He's not like an ego warrior who just runs out infinitely and lets you just swarm him out. And I actually had this thing with my axe. I thought he was going to be more of an ego warrior than he was, but when I fought him, he was actually, relatively smart, right? And he even he kept changing his name too, so we wouldn't know who he was in the field. Like, no, get out of here. But Rogue is like smarter because he'll try to bait you under AoE constantly. And generally, my team's smart enough to understand, like, hey, we're not doing that. We were bridge fighting these guys, bro. They just had a freaking Ethan garrison right under the bridge. Yeah. So like we couldn't rally it because every time we tried, they would swarm the rally, but they would do the thing where you hit the rally and you pull your marches back and you just keep hitting and pulling your marches back, right?
Yeah.
So they don't circle the rally, but they keep dropping skill damage and stuff. That's why you kept doing our rally and stuff. So it's like, dude, we're not gonna do this with you guys. We're gonna sit here and we're gonna wait it out. So we just kind of did a stalemate. And worst part is our guys started going offline and they literally hit us like right at our peak downtime. I was like, you got to be kidding me, man. Like, I'm about to quit.
There are
like,
some.
You literally.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
No. You're good. I was just saying whatever.
I was just gonna say it surprises me when people bring out other layers of strategy. Like, don't get me wrong, a lot of this is cookie cutter based on rallies and armaments and things like that. Sure, but like there are some clever ways that you can utilize things, right? So. I'll give you a prime example. I remember fighting in this one IR, and this one guy had started off the entire thing basically saying, who wants to ally with us? I've got a 6 million Julia. And that was how he introduced himself.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, nobody else has anything close to that, right? He won because of his Julia. There was no one that could have, defended against it anyways. But he starts off by going, who wants to ally? I've got a 6 million Julia. And then once he gets his allies, he random teleports close to us, starts aggressing us, right, sending his troops out to fight. So we rally the guy. We're like, fuck it, we're going to rally him with our best to see what we can do. So we send a rally out against him. This motherfucker summons a zombie, drags it by his place, starts to attack it with a Bianca so that he can get the debuff on Bianca to debuff the rally as it's hitting his shelter. So he lets the rally hit the shelter so that he can debuff it while it's hitting, and it worked. It was incredible. Like, the rally got... so it was like instantly, we're like, as soon as you saw that, I was like, I'm not fighting this guy. He's on a totally different level. This guy's playing,
He's a tryhard.
He's thinking. He's using his brain.
Like, bro, when you fight a whale, it's like you they need to be dumb. Right?
Yeah,
it's over, right?
That's
like,
right.
You need people who just spend money and don't have the time to learn the game, right? Like,
like Save Me. I mean, I'm just kidding.
bro. Yeah, Save Me just egos. Like, I'll give it to Save Me fights, but he just egos into murder balls nonstop. Like, that guy's probably
I mean, what do you do with
one
70
of the worst
million
whales I've ever
troops?
seen.
What do you do with 70 million troops, though?
True. When you're that big, right? I mean, like, there's like, he can't run out of resources, right? He's so whalish that he's not going to run out. So I guess it doesn't matter to him, right?
Well, and like I said, his hospital only fills up so much, and if you've got 70 million troops, who the fuck cares about your aid station? Because you're getting it all back in huge chunks, anyways. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
10% of 10 million troops, like, that's still more troops than what most people have, and that's what he's getting back on your 10%. Like, come on,
bro. Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing an island raid. He would drop like 100 mil every day, and then I was like, "You got to be kidding me, bro!
Jesus,
what the heck?" I was spectating that one because it was the one against IWR and 59E, and it would just drop 100 mil every day. And you're thinking about it, and you're like, "This guy's really losing like 10 million troops every day."
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine being able to do that. like I don't even have half of that, bro. Like, what are you doing?
See, and this is why people ask me, like, you know, do I care about people who spend money on the game? And the reality is, no, I don't care about people who spend money in the game. I care more about having a relationship with money, you know, that is probably healthier than they do. And I think that's kind of a big thing. Like, if money means so little to you that you can spend literal hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on a digital game, like, you must be so disconnected in the rest of life. Like, I don't see a big connection happening there if you just have the free, like, you must be disconnected from the regular person. Because, like,
I also say this on that argument, right? Like, if you have all that money to spend on the game, right? And I mean, one, you probably have just so much money that it doesn't matter. And two, I mean, why would you care about people spending on this game, right? Like, I get the argument that is trying to be made, but at the same time, if people didn't spend this money on the game, you wouldn't have a game to play, right? Like, I always hate that argument where it's like, well, do you think these whales shouldn't be whales, right? Well, if these whales weren't whales, you wouldn't be playing Doomsday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
like it's every game is based on profit, right? They're not gonna give you Doomsday if they don't have a whale to milk the money from.
well, not to mention,
Like,
it's not like you're gonna be playing against them. You know what I mean? Like, unless your goals as a free-to-play player are to play against the cream of the crop, like, you're not going to play against them anyways. So what does it matter?
Yeah, and even then, you're still a tower filler, right?
Well, exactly. I mean, that's why I've always said to people, and as much as it's a hard thing to understand, right? It's a hard thing to digest. You have to find the right alliance for yourself, and it's not just about your friends. You'll make friends in any alliance you go to. It's literally about finding the right alliance that fits your playstyle and your pocketbook. You can't expect to go fight in G1, G2, and be free to play. You can't expect to do it. It costs too much for troops, for resources, for everything else, right?
Yeah, and even joining a tower, right? You get hit by that AoE and you're dead.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Like, forget field fighting.
Yeah, you're not field fighting. You're only living in garrisons and rallies, which means that you're losing troops, which means that, like, you're getting less for points. Like, you can't. The game becomes more expensive the more competitive you want to be. So if you want to be in Apex, if you want to fight in Apex, that's fine. Just anticipate you're gonna spend money to be there. It's not a free ride to get to the top. unfortunately, that's just the way it is. But it's that same way. I come to realize it's that same way with any competitive, avenue, right? My kid's in baseball. He's not an MLB baseball. He's an under 13. He wouldn't be able to play on the same bracket. He's not the
What do you
same.
mean, man? No,
Yeah.
he's got it.
Let's put my son up against 100-mile-an-hour pitches and see how he does. It'd be great to watch him walk to first base for 20 minutes, but it's the same type of thing. So you got to find an alliance that fits your playstyle, your pocketbook, and then subsequently an alliance that actually participates in events. In my last AR, for example, we had our group was in Jade. We were Jade. And we ended up allying with Crimson. And unfortunately, the people that we had to fight in Azure weren't there. They didn't show up to fight. So there was no fighting in the first 2 days, right? Which really hinders the rest of the gameplay. Now, don't get me wrong. I also believe wholeheartedly that there shouldn't be a lot of fighting in the first days of AR anyways, because you don't really need to, right? Unless, you're not really fighting over level 7s or level 6s from the enemy. You're not fighting over level 7s from the enemy. You have to go across the map to get to your opponents, right? So it's a lot more hassle to fight in the first 2 days. But most people rank phase rewards on, the top of War Meets War, top 50 in War Meets War, which means you have to fight.
Yeah, I'm sorry, keep going.
No. I was just gonna say, and if you're not fighting, then you're in the wrong alliance.
Thing is, okay, with this, if we're significantly stronger and we feel that we're literally gonna be the only reason that one legion would win in AR, I'm just like, we're not making an agreement on the 7. Like, I'm sorry, right? Like, if you want to win the 8, you need us. And like why would we make an agreement, especially when you're side legions, right? Like, the only maybe scenario that a side legion makes sense is if they're able to cut off the main legion. And even then, right, if a side legion is still weaker than your legion significantly and they're able to cut off the main legion, what does that tell you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that you could have steamrolled the map. So sometimes it just doesn't make sense to make these kind of agreements. I hate making agreements on the 7 unless a side legion is freaking required for your victory, right? It's just, I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, I would much rather.
You have to be fair.
Yeah, I would much rather go into the diplomatic side of things, going, "Hey, look, we're taking phase 1 because we're stronger." But the problem is the moment you do that, people go, "You're kind of an asshole."
Okay, like, what you gonna do about it?
It's true at that situation. I mean, that's your response. But part of me goes, okay, I fight for that avenue first. But if all they're doing is fighting for it, I would much rather have them give a shit to actually give it an attempt. And this is how we kind of did it. So, and it kind of really worked poorly for us because we made an agreement for top 50, right? An hour before we checked, we were winning. On the time, because we didn't send an end time, they sent an end time at reset, right? Instead of an hour before reset. So at reset, I counted, we were up 12-11. They went into the chat and said, we're up 12-11. And I'm like, no, you're not. But of course you can't go back and check afterwards because now you're in, phase 2 starts and now you're fighting. So the numbers change really drastically very quickly. So they're trying to say that they won. I'm saying no, that we won. So then we had to have it based on chainsaws and we didn't end up capturing the 7 for the whole day. So we wasted having the heal buff and the damage buff and all this shit just because
the cement.
Yeah, and the cement because they didn't want to because they were trying to fight for their cause. Even though by the end of it, they were absolutely not the strong. They were essential to us beating gold, but we didn't need them
Azure
to
could have
win.
been just as essential.
Well, Azure, we had Azure taken out early. Crimson couldn't fight gold on their own, so we would have to fight gold as it was. We knew we could beat Azure because Azure wasn't fighting.
Yeah, but the thing is, right? You also think of it like this, right? If Crimson couldn't fight gold as it was, and Azure couldn't fight you as it was, probably the factor that made it as significant as it was you guys as a legion, right?
It was us.
It wasn't on the other hand, right? Because if gold was as strong as you guys, and you guys were on their side of things, right? I'm sure it would have been the same exact scenario, except Crimson would have been pushed out sooner, and then they would have been then Azure would have been the necessary component to win. But it's like, are they really as necessary if any side legion can be the reason like that you have the extra hand in things?
So
But the only reason that the side legion has an extra hand in things is because you guys are stronger as a legion and you guys were able to push the other team out faster, right? It's just kind of like one of those things. It's like,
exactly.
I don't know, hot potato.
Exactly. So we built across very quickly, locked blue out of the central area, and then started building up to fight off gold. And Crimson wasn't strong enough to fight gold by themselves, but gold wasn't strong enough to fight us. So as soon as we got down there and we had Crimson, it was kind of a push, it was kind of an easy push from there. But that becomes the thing. I mean, the conversation that I always like to start is saying, yes, we are obviously the stronger ones. We have the bigger players. We've got, we deserve phase one. And that's always my, my pinnacle argument. But people have now become very constant with this, top 50 in War Meets War type thing, which is fine if people fight. But the problem there is, even if you look at the way that the map is designed, the moment you agree on top 50, that can change based on who you're allied with. Because either you're going to be building into your enemies or you're building into your allies. And if you're building into your allies, there's, you know what I mean? Like, there's less opportunity for you to fight. Like, you have to go out and extend and find areas to fight to get points.
I really don't like it, right? Because side legions just have too many avenues, right? And a lot of the time, they'll just build to win in War Meets War, and not to actually be objectively winning the event, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember once we did have the agreement, and to be fair, TPL could have, because it was with TPL, I know we had to fight HMBB or something, right? And we did cut out them off, right? It was with like Sloth and stuff, and we actually managed to cut off the main legion after like multi-days of fighting, and we actually kind of took a 2v1 for a while. But in all honesty, right, I will say I do think that we kind of were pretty good in that regard, essential wise, because honestly, Sloth and them were pretty strong, and if it came to a mid fight, I'm not sure how things would have turned out. But the reason that we were able to win as much as we did was because we were able to crutch so much on a single garrison and kind of play off that more, and we were able to kind of restrict how much tower fighting would I do. Whereas if we had to fight a mid, people would have had more time to get cement, etc., and they would probably just built around. So it was a little bit different. But thing is, I do think like in that case, we probably were more essential as a legion. We actually provided more, and we weren't specifically building over here for the fact of, hey, we want War Meets War, right? Right? Where a lot of people who do that, they just say, okay, we're gonna get top 50 and we're gonna dip, right? And it's like, what real value are you providing as an ally? You're just going there to, in a sense, feed. To be honest, right? A lot of the time, they won't even take fights that make sense. Whereas if they fought at mid and they didn't do this whole, I'm gonna go build over here and take a fight by ourselves as a legion, as a significantly weaker legion, you get smashed in towers, and then you're saying, well, we're top in War Meets War, so it doesn't matter. Well, then what did you really provide to me? You got smashed, and now we're one legion down, basically, because we're going to be soloing 1v2 up mid, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So, and I mean, there's a reason. I mean, have you ever seen Apex? They don't do War Meets War agreements. They just say, hey, we're stronger. You guys are weaker. Thank you. We're taking the rewards, right? I kind of like it like that more. So I don't know. That's me.
It does make sense, and I think it's a little bit easier to kind of agree when you're in the top of the brackets, because there is a huge variance in a lot of those mites. I mean, you'll have alliances that are 30 million paired up with alliances that are 20 million, 20 billion in comparison. Like SSI is what, 36, I think, or something like that. So I mean, like there is a bit more of a variation in that sense, and it's easier, to say that someone's team is much bigger in that sense compared to in our brackets, where a lot of the, your ratings are very close comparison, on 9 billion out of all 6 alliances. So it's harder for us to say we're stronger on paper or we're a stronger alliance. Trust us and believe us, and we're taking the rewards. So unfortunately, I think that the tougher part is the lower that you do get in the brackets, the more we have to rely on War Meets War agreements, which I agree sucks. I don't like to make them. I would much rather, even if we're the weaker alliance, I would much rather just give up phase 1 to guarantee a good phase 2. Because I'm also a heavier believer, like I mentioned. I mean, the majority of the fighting doesn't need to happen until phase 2 anyways. Yes, there is the potential to fight in phase 1, but ask yourself, really, what are you fighting over, right? Nothing. I mean, cement, sure, yeah, I get that. Field fighting for cement, field fighting for resources, I get that. But the majority of things that are happening for points is not field fighting for cement. It's field fighting for points. It's rallies and garrisons for points. That's it. There's no other goal or target that you're actually getting out of it. And I think that becomes the biggest problem, because if your goal isn't to win AR as a whole, to go in and win AR as a whole, then you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Phase 1 rewards aren't good enough. Go out and get phase 2.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I said, I do agree with you though. When you get lower, it is probably harder because you're there are, obviously it's much harder. Whereas I feel like when you're at the top of like even elite, right? I mean, I'm sure it's a little bit harder in fearless maybe because it's like not looked at as much. But I would say like Apex is looked at the most, so you can clearly tell who's the strongest.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say like top of elite, you still get a lot of eyes on it to the point where you can generally know, okay, these teams are generally the strongest, right? So even if you're not too savvy about how strong these guys are, you're probably like, oh yeah, well I've seen these guys basically solo these events. I've seen these guys going alone, right? Like if you've seen Lost, right? I mean, I saw like Island Raid. They it was before like we fought, but it was like another island raid. They basically soloed the map, right? They took over the whole map, and I mean that's just an example, right? Whereas I'm not going to go down to G20 and look for the same thing. I'm not going to remember the people in G20, so it's also kind of a thing like that, I guess. Like right, like you have more chances of kind of understanding how strong these teams are and being like, well, I do agree, you guys are probably going to carry us, so we'll bow out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas you won't get that like the lower you go because teams just don't know you. Like your name's not as memorable in a sense, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And that's and don't get me wrong, that's kind of the hardest part about being in Fearless is that a lot of the game is it's less about the overall participation of the event and more about the overall participation of your alliance. So one thing that I'm really proud about that GROP does very well is that we show up to the time slot. So chainsaws, for example, will show up at chainsaws, and GROP is 1/3 of the field. We'll show up to elite scavengers, and GROP is 1/3 of the field. Even though we're 1/6 of the alliances, we just have more people that show up. So
we've had that so much,
and that's one thing that I'm super proud about is like building up this capability that basically says when one of the leaders says jump, the alliance shows up. They send their troops and they show up. Regardless of kind of what the time is, the people that are online will send. Now, granted, that also kind of sucks because it does bring more tier 5s in the field, but a lot of people don't realize, like, you don't really know who's tier 5 and who's tier 6 and who's tier 4 in the field unless you've, like, gone through their lists and written down who's at 200 mil and have their names plastered to your wall and shit like that. Like, you're not going to really know, right? Like I do.
Oh, I gotta, let me... Yeah, you're like, oh, let me remember who this is so I don't get targeted by Safe Me on the field.
Well, no, but see, the stupid thing is...
1 million my...
See, here's the stupid thing is, I know who the strong people is, but I fight them specifically anyways, knowing that I'm going to lose. I make bad calls. I know I'm going to lose against Walter White. He's 220 million or something like that. He's much stronger than I am. But if I see him running on the field towards my other troops, darn rights I'm going to run right into him. You know what I mean? Like darn rights I'm going to sacrifice for the cause. I'll lose the trades, but at the end of the day, it's about making sure that you
win the fight, right?
Well, yeah, you get it with your name,
right? Like I would argue like Rogue, Z are clearly stronger than any of our strongest, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're fighting them in Lost, but the issue is we just have so many people who are willing to whale tank that even if you beam out one of the marches, right, you got 10 other marches swarming out yours,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like we're weak either, right? We're still strong enough to like punch up. So even if you're taking out one of our range marches, we've already taken out 2 of yours. Like it doesn't matter how strong you are if people are willing to play their roles and actually like tank when they need to. That's one thing I've noticed with like a lot of big teams, right? I was kind of actually noticing this with BDTN. I'm not trying to be a call out, but like when we were fighting on the field, they would run away so much, and they actually like really were screwing us over. Like we kind of like my alliance was getting pissed off because they would abandon us so much on the field. And I kind of noticed this, but they don't like whale tanking. Whereas like all of our top guys aren't scared of doing that, right? And it's something maybe I don't appreciate enough. But like we've kind of built up such a team that's like willing to do that. That if we fight someone like Rogue or something, right, that they don't mind eating up all the punches and taking the hospital bill because they're willing to afford it, as long as we have all the other people who are willing to back them, right? As long as the alliance is playing behind them, like the role is supposed to be, it doesn't matter, right? Because everybody's pulling their weight and. I mean, it clearly pays off,
Well, I'll give you a prime example. One of the things that we do, and I've mentioned this before, one of the things that we do in GROP is I record ratios after every event. After every IR and after every AR, I record ratios, which are your points acquired versus your might. So there is kind of an association with how much activity you expecting to do at each level of your might, right? And our goal is a 1-to-1 ratio, so that you bring, if you're a 60 million might account, you get 60 million points. If you're a 180 million might account, you're going to get 180 million points, right? That's kind of like what our expectation is, which gives everyone a goal. So if you're a smaller player, you still have the capability to win rewards just simply by participating. Previously, our average ratio was about 0.6, 0.6, and like 6.5. This last AR, our average ratio was 0.85. So like, of all the players that we have, almost all of them, right, on average, are bringing their might, which I can't complain about. Like that will break my alliance vault every single time. I'm giving out more gold because of people participating and doing well, right, every time. It's a good problem to have.
I don't know. But expensive, good problem to have.
It's an expensive, good problem to have, Our vault goes through, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not going through near as much as what you guys do, because you guys got bigger spenders than we do, but it gives us a capability to like really benefit those who are like actively going out and producing for the alliance. And I have tons of respect for that. So as soon as that happens, and I know it's going to break the vault, I feel bad for the vault, but I feel good for everybody else, because they've done exactly what we've asked them to do, right? They're showing up at fights. They're showing up in mass, in numbers, which is kind of what you need. Half the reason why this AR was as successful as it was because we were able to show up in mass, show up in numbers. And the fight for chainsaws, just to give you an example, it came down to, between gold and us, the point difference, I think, at the end was like 24 points. That's how close it was between us and gold for us to take the win. So we had to like fight them in the field first, while Crimson was taking some, and then have some of our guys take the rest of the chainsaws while our tier 6 are like fighting gold, trying to push them off of chainsaws. It was so back and forth that whole time in the last, like it got literally up to the last round of chainsaws to determine it. But, it's those kind of fights that really make this game, that really give this game its legs.
I mean, honestly, we won ours, which is really weird considering all the factors I told you about before. We got first I wouldn't say it was easy, but like by a pretty good margin. And to be fair, I mean, I guess Crimson and Gold were like splitting up the points a bit.
Yeah.
And it was weird though, because, Azure got basically no kills on any zombies, right? So you would have assumed that Gold would have monopolized their full side of the map, but I think BDTN kept running over there and just sniping a bunch of them. So like it didn't matter, but it was so weird to me. It was one of the weirdest. It might be like the weirdest AR I've had in a while, like in terms of like everything. I just like, I don't know, like they were reliable in some regards, and then I was like, where the heck are you guys, right? Like mid opens, and I didn't see a single one of them really. Yeah. I'm like, bro. None of you guys can stay up late.
That was the thing. As soon as that reset happens, I sat there for 8 hours, because I'm like, I know it's going to be like, we haven't had fighting in 2 days, right? In 3 days almost. So I know these last 2 days I'm going to put in work, because number one, I need to get points. And number two, I've been saving up for phase 3. So it's time for phase 2. So it's time to fight. So I sat here for 8 damn hours.
Also been saving up for TC, man.
Oh yeah.
Come on now.
Don't even remind me. Have I told you? Oh, we talked about TC a little bit, eh? I don't know about you, but I got a lucky one. So I think I'm gonna take Boyd this time. I'm gonna win Boyd. I'm gonna awaken him next TC. Hope for an easy, splendid steal, because my splendid steal right now is not. But that's really all we got to chat about today. I think, truth be told, it hasn't been a very busy couple of weeks for IGG, though we will have some new stuff coming here. We've got the new annual or anniversary tech tour coming with a couple new skins, and then something to do with the luxurious banquet, which I have no idea what they're doing.
I think that's just gonna be some friend event. I don't even think it's gonna be anything significant. I think it just looks cool, and then it's gonna be like,
I don't think it'll be anything more than just extra ways to get free rewards and for whales to whale out harder and
spend their money.
Yeah, just something like that. But other than that, it hasn't been very, exciting outside of these new infantry heroes. I did hear, and of course it could be wrong, but I did hear that since they just released these 2 new heroes, we should see a break on new heroes being released.
I think so, right?
That's what I heard.
During the cycles, usually there's a break, right? You hit that third cycle, and then there's a break.
Yeah, so
Because it starts with range.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll have a little bit of a reprieve to allow us to build up some of these heroes and actually use them before the next wave of new whatever. But we also have Genes coming next week. I don't know if you know this, but we got Genes coming next week.
God.
Did you see that?
So much content. Come on, guys. Don't do
Jesus.
this to me.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, so we'll have Genes coming next week. It changed.
Did it?
It was so previous. If you went into the Origin of Beasts tab, there's 2 events that at the end that are still not started that says coming soon.
Yeah.
Right? For the one that's next, they had a date for that underneath where instead it says now not started. They had a date for that of next week.
Well, I mean, it does say 5 days, right, until this season thing ends. So I guess it's whatever, right, at the top. So I guess it still tells you the time in a sense. Just maybe they just didn't want to spoil it too much or something.
Maybe. But I mean, we're going to have, like I said, that's going to possibly throw a whole bunch of wrench. Cause I'll be honest, as soon as they added chips, like chips really did influence beasts. Like I've been noticing beasts doing a lot more, even in field battles too. Like you'll see your beast HP like dead really early. If you're not working on 5 beast marches, you know what I mean?
If you're fighting Z.
Yeah. Well, even if like you're fighting there. So beasts are starting to have decent influence, and I think Genes are going to be a whole new NOS, I guess, nitrous to it, just a whole new layer of context and BSery.
Bro, imagine being a G1 player and you got to deal with Genes, probably like end all be all.
Imagine being
just field fighting in G1.
Listen, imagine being in region 800 and just starting this game now.
And then a month later, you see Safe Me in your region.
Like imagine
whoever else.
Sure, anybody at 200 mil. Imagine starting now and have to digest all of this information: heroes, beasts, armaments, equipments, parts, vehicles.
It's pretty overwhelming.
Fuck me.
For new guys.
There's no way I'd be able to do it, man. Not a chance. With how much red dot clicking there is every day.
I'd go back to the app store and I'd be like, next game.
Yeah, let's play some Farmville. You know what I mean? Minecraft. I don't know.
At this point, that's all I need.
So
Doomsday,
it's like
who?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's one of those things. I'm glad that I started this when I did and started learning it when I did, because, like I said, trying to join it and trying to get proficient in it now, there's no way you're catching up. There's no way you're competing. Like, it's a lost cause, man.
I mean, there's a reason people buy accounts, man.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, bro. Like you can't start a new account and expect even spending, right? You're always gonna be paywalled. Or not even paywalled. You're paywalled and time walled in like workshop and stuff because there's only so many packs you can buy.
Yeah. You'll never get caught up. It's not fair. But hey, let's keep opening up regions. Let's keep opening up regions every day, 1 or 2.
New marshals, man.
How many are they at right now? Holy shit, I gotta see.
Let me see.
812. 812.
Oh, where? I mean, you already got your 420, so I guess it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere else. I'm good.
But
812. God damn. Jesus.
You got the perfect number, man. I just got number 1. I guess at least I have the unique capability of having 3 mega cities in my region, right? Only 4 regions have that.
3 mega cities? What do you mean? Oh,
yeah.
Level 4s. Level 4s.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Because I mean, obviously, you only get those in region 1 through 4. Because it was actually, is it 5? It might be region 5 as well. I can't remember.
So they didn't change that?
Out of beta.
They didn't change that, even though it's been changed.
Well, when they released region 6, right? Because it came out every few months, right? Like there was a region every few months, and when region 6 came out, I think they did a global release, or they started releasing it in like small areas. So when they did that, they just changed the new map, right? They didn't alter old ones, which kind of makes sense as well, because issue is you're kind of disrupting all the current alliances and like how they've already kind of distributed things and stuff, and it could be like, you know, problematic for them. So I guess they just decided not to change it, and now that you've kind of had it going on this long, it's like, why take it away now?
Damn, you sneaky bastards, getting 1 extra mega city.
And to be fair, it's not like most of the big regions, the old regions are all that like mega powerful anyway. It's not like you got a bunch of 20 bow alliances here. I mean, like,
no, that's right. Everyone's moving to 800.
Small. Region 3 is small. Region 5 is relatively small as well.
It's because all the whales are moving to region 700 plus. Let's be real.
True. I mean, realistically, right? Most of them are just like around region 100s, because that's when I think it's actually kind of funny, because it was when like it opened to like Korea and stuff like that, right? So
Yeah.
then you had like all the crazy Korean whales pour out. So you got all the
Jesus.
really big alliances around region 100 something.
I think I even, you know, it's funny you mentioned King. I think I actually was in King's Alliance when I first started.
I don't know what region he started in.
I'm not sure, but like I think he was in 126 or like one something.
I mean, he should be Korean, right? It might make it probably makes sense, right?
But I remember playing, and it could be someone entirely different, but I remember playing with somebody, and his name was King, and he was just like so strong, like everybody, like he literally wailed on everything. But it was like the alliance was so played for him. So if you farmed, you had to farm inside the line, and if there wasn't any nodes to farm inside the line, you had to wait until there was new nodes to farm inside the line. You could not farm outside the line ever, even if there was no nodes to farm.
Bro, what the heck?
Yeah, so like everything had to be done for the benefit of the alliance, right? So not the alliance, the benefit of King, and of course it being his alliance, and everything was. So we went into AR or IR or even DS or whatever the heck it was when you would win the one like pirate statue for your alliance.
Island Raid.
And he would win that every time, and we would have it, and I would benefit from it. But they like an alliance I couldn't chat with, an alliance I couldn't, you couldn't really grow because you weren't allowed to. You had to, every decision you made, yeah, every decision you made had to be made with him in mind.
Yeah, no, I was talking to MSR, and he even mentioned like in like Russian alliances, for example, a lot of them require you to keep your engine count, like you have to keep them under a certain amount, or you just can't have engines at all depending on the alliance. I mean, it's probably the same in some regards, right? Whereas like they're like, okay, well, you can't have but so much might, or you're just restricting all of us. So no might for you, high guy.
That's okay. I've never
max.
Listen, I have almost 2 million infantry heroes for the first time in my entire life, and like I'll never get that again. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll never croc 2 mil. I'll never have to worry about troops as a problem. I'm not like these guys going to have millions of troops. Like, 2 million infantry, 400,000 of the other two. Good enough to fill rallies and garrisons until I don't have any more troops left. You know what I mean? Like, just good enough.
I mean, as long as I can kill off my units and still have enough to field fight relatively well, I mean, I'm pretty happy, right? Like I like being able to take a good amount of deads while not crippling myself completely.
Yeah,
exactly. As long as I'm like I still got legs, I'm still happy.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, we're gonna wrap this podcast up. It's been an absolute wonderful chat. Like I said, not nearly as in depth as we normally go, but I'm gonna take it anyways because, like I said, getting back into the swing of things is, taking its time. So I appreciate you joining me again, my dude. Hope you've had fun.
Of course. Yeah, man.
Good. And for everybody who's watching, thanks very much for tuning in. If you haven't already, click that like button, subscribe to the channel, both mine and Panda's. Click the like button, fill out the notification bell, and click the join button and become a member today. Other than that, folks, for everything else, love, peace, chicken grease, and until next time,
stay lifted.
3, 2, 1, let's go!